Doug, thanks very much for joining us. A growing sector at the moment in terms of innovation and science parks. How do you see the key trends in the sector?
Looking at the States, which I think will translate over into the UK as well. The first trend is that even though office and hotels and student housing, real estate fundamentals have kind of fallen off, the life science sector still has very strong real estate fundamentals, meaning pretty strong demand followed by a shortness of supply, which then grows rents. What we're seeing as far as new developments, what developers are bringing forward, we're seeing a lot of amenity rich, amenity strong type developments that will allow developers to attract companies and then use that amenities to attract the talent. That is definitely a push that we're seeing. What we're also seeing, because of COVID, we're seeing a lot of companies that want to control their supply chain. And so for your out-of-town locations, your non-city center locations, you're seeing a big push towards manufacturing and biomanufacturing, where companies can pretty much control the supply chain and be a quick drive away if something goes wrong, which I think COVID has brought to light. And then lastly is because the sector is so strong and is growing so quickly, there's been a lot of new entrants, both in the US and in the UK as well.
That's interesting you pick up the new entrants and also that increased focus because of the health crisis at the moment. Are you seeing that in terms of a growth of capital flows and capital looking at the sector?
Yeah, so over the last 18 months, IQHQ has raised 2.7 billion, which is a pretty chunky amount. When I started in the sector 20 years ago, there was only 2 players in Boston and Cambridge, Massachusetts. Now there's over 26. So when you have new entrants, you have new capital. In the UK, I can think of at least a half a dozen new groups that have either starting up or beginning to start up, and each have raised a billion plus to invest into the sector. So there is a lot of capital out there and a lot of hungry groups that want to do more with it.
In terms of the, I suppose, the opportunities that you're seeing at the moment, IQHQ US group looking to be active in Europe. How are you seeing those opportunities?
It all devolves around talent, and that talent usually congregates around academic institutions of excellence, whether it's in Cambridge, Oxford, London, or Glasgow, or Edinburgh, or anywhere else. Usually that's where the translation is, and so that's where the talent kind of gleams onto. So I think that's kind of where you're going to see a lot of the growth. And then, as I said earlier, the out of town location for kind of a lower price point from a real estate perspective, but also it's a different talent pool for manufacturing and biomanufacturing as well.
And do you see more of a focus on kind of bringing, I suppose, life sciences into more kind of urban city centre, city quarter areas? What's your experience from the US there?
Boston, Cambridge right now, that's how it is. The sector is very driven around urban core. San Diego, the sector kind of goes up the coast into La Jolla and Torrey Pines, kind of along the beach. For obvious reasons. But our San Diego project, which we call RAD, which stands for Research and Development District, is a 1.4 million square foot development extending the Gaslamp district really close to the airport. So true urban development. We do see a pull towards urbanization. That's what the talent seems to be pulling towards.
Going forward, do you see much more growth for this in terms of particularly the UK and Europe?
Yeah, you see what's going on in the States. There's a lot of players. It's getting very, very crowded. So I think people are going to be looking for alternative locations to invest that capital. And I think the UK and Europe is a logical spot for that. So I do definitely see kind of more of the US firms coming over and looking at those opportunities.
Great. Really interesting to catch up, Doug, and get your perspective as well, particularly on the growth of this sector and the opportunities in Europe and the UK. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.